This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple schedules a call, Foxconn predicts the utterly predictable, and Vision Pro visions to blow my mind. It is Friday, the 6th of October, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Apple nerds and financial nerds, your quarterly Super Bowl is on the way. Apple updated its investor relations page Thursday, setting the date and time for its fourth quarter fiscal year 2023 earnings report and call. The date is Thursday, the 2nd of November. The time, well, there are a couple of times. Numbers will hit by a press release after the close of trading that Thursday, so at or about 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Half an hour later, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, Apple execs and Apple-watching financial analysts will hop on the horn. Expected on the call, Apple CEO Tim Cook and Apple CFO Luca Maestri will go deeper on the press release numbers. That'll be followed by questions from analysts, roughly 50% of which will be answered. Maybe 75. If you want to keep up with the goings-on, Apple will webcast the proceedings on its investor relations page. It'll be made available as a podcast soon after. Bloggers will blog, posters will post, and, as we almost always do, we'll do high points and low points here the next day, Friday, the 3rd of November. Word from Foxconn Thursday that seems both like good news and also like a no-brainer. And there was some bad news. I guess we'll start with that. Seeking Alpha had the contract manufacturer and Apple partner indicating that September sales slumped 19.7% year over year. Now, can you guess the good news / no-brainer? I'll bet you could. The piece had Foxconn CEO Young Liu saying Q4 should see significant growth compared to the third quarter and that operations should ramp up sequentially. Of course, other names for Q4 are the December quarter and the holiday quarter. That includes the Christmas holidays for large parts of the planet, as well as the festive season in India, so yeah, you'd expect Q4 to be better than Q3. Want even more, better, good news or something? Seeking Alpha says revenue in Foxconn's smart consumer electronics segment, which includes smartphones, actually did pretty well in September. That was likely thanks to new product launches like iPhone, and iPhone maybe. That said, a pullback in spending for cloud and networking products contributed to the September drop. I don't know about you, but the more I hear about Apple Vision Pro, the less sure I am of what it's going to be. I cannot remember whether I have said this here, but talking to friends, I have supposed that no one, not even Apple, knows what the ultimate use cases are going to be for the mixed reality headset. You'll be able to watch movies on it, you'll be able to play games, you'll be able to work on apps similarly to the way you do today on iPhone, iPad, and the Mac. So which of those use cases will dominate? Or will some currently unimagined use case emerge? I think it's a bit like Apple Watch in that respect. I feel like Apple knew they had something with the wearable, though it wasn't until people started walking around with it that primary use cases came to the fore. Can you imagine Apple Vision Pro as a presentation tool for people who don't have Apple Vision Pro? Suddenly, I can, thanks to a report from Mac Rumors. According to that, code in the latest Vision OS beta indicates that wearers will be able to mirror what they're seeing in the headset via AirPlay or FaceTime. Now, my first thought was, that is dumb. Why would anybody want to stare at a flat representation of data being presented in 3D? But what if the presenter is able to twist, turn, bend, and stretch that data model to illustrate points and data points in real time? Or what if that presenter is a painter, suddenly able to create live for a room full of people, or a hall full of people, an auditorium full of people, or a world full of people, assuming the video can be mirrored to something that can stream it out? We have no idea what this thing is going to be. But I think it's going to be exciting to find out. A take on Apple's spatial computing play that's both exciting and kind of a bummer. Deepwater Assets' Gene Munster says Apple Vision is really going to take off in 2028. Apple 3.0 ran part of a post he posted. You will not be surprised to find that he is still a believer. Quoting Unky Gene, the collective investing community is skeptical that Vision Pro will become a measurable part of Apple's business because the utility of spatial computing is still unknown. As developers build exciting apps, demand and sales will increase. The way he sees it, investors will start to get the whole spatial computing thing once there are a few 100,000 Vision Pro units in the wild. He expects that to be the case by the middle of 2024. From there, he suggests, use the iPhone as an adoption benchmark. It took 5 years to gain traction, in part because it took that long for developers to build exciting apps. It took 5 years for iPhone to gain traction? That feels like weighting the argument a bit, but I'll allow it. Munster goes on to say the Apple Watch inflection point hit in year 3, driven by apps developed by Apple's improvements in hardware. Putting it all together, he says, Vision Pro will likely take 5 years to go mainstream and will account for 10% plus of overall revenue by 2030. Not to be all Veruca Salt, but I want it now. Yesterday marked the 12th anniversary of the passing of Apple co-founder and former CEO Steve Jobs. Though the company stopped marking the day on its website a few years back, 9to5Mac says current Apple CEO Tim Cook paid tribute on Twitter. Cook's tweet had a picture of Jobs, circa late 1990s, early 2000s. It also included the message, thinking back on a pioneer who challenged conventions, a visionary who changed the world, a mentor, and a friend. We miss you, Steve. While Cook was praising a past CEO, he was being praised for his own tenure. Well, praised-ish. Another piece from 9to5Mac has word of a new survey from Blind, a social network made up of 9 million verified anonymous professionals. I'm curious how they can be both anonymous and verified. Kind of matters since the results of the survey are said to be based on 13,171 verified professionals in the U.S. who responded to a survey in August that asked to provide an approval rating for 103 CEOs based on employee feedback. Cook was not at the top of the Blind list, though he's not far from it. Asked the question, do you approve or disapprove of the way your CEO is handling their job? Apple CEO was met with decided approval. His score of 83% positive was enough for 4th place on the list. That was behind 3rd place Palo Alto Network CEO Nikesh Arora with 84% approval. 2nd place Walmart CEO Doug McMillon with 88% approval. And 1st place NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang with a 96% approval score. Another first look at another prestigious title from Apple TV+. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release Thursday with stills from the upcoming limited series, Masters of the Air. According to the release, the series reunites Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Gary Getzman, who also produced Band of Brothers and The Pacific. Based on the book by Donald L. Miller, Apple says Masters of the Air follows the men of the 100th Bomb Group, the Bloody 100th, as they conduct perilous bombing raids over Nazi Germany and grapple with the frigid conditions, lack of oxygen, and sheer terror of combat conducted at 25,000 feet. portraying the psychological and emotional price paid by these young men as they helped destroy the horror of Hitler's Third Reich, is at the heart of Masters of the Air. The first 2 episodes hit Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 26th of January, 2024. Episodes will follow 1 per week on successive Fridays through the 15th of March. And finally today, if you're a fan of Zane Lowe, a fan of U2, or a fan of an amazing modern spectacle, there is a video out there you need to see. Apple Insider says Apple Music has shared a 30-minute behind-the-scenes look at U2's residency in the newly built Las Vegas Sphere and what it took to make it possible to perform in such a venue. If you don't know who Zane Lowe is, he's a presenter and Apple Music exec. If you don't know who U2 is, you're obviously pulling my leg. And if you don't know what the Sphere is, Apple Insider describes it as a prominent spherical entertainment and technology facility in Las Vegas, recognized for its immersive experiences and advanced technology features. Featuring a striking LED exterior, it hosts a wide range of events, including concerts and virtual reality experiences, making it a significant attraction for tourists and a notable part of the city's entertainment offerings. Seriously, if you hate U2 and Zane Lowe, it's still worth skimming through this video to see the Sphere do its thing. The video is called Behind U2's Residency at Sphere, Las Vegas. You can watch it rattle and hum now on YouTube. Before we go, an update on what's going on the Patreon side. The first day or so of Patreon chat was fun. I mentioned yesterday on macOS Ken that the support platform had turned on its chat feature for people supporting creators financially and users of the Patreon mobile app. But at Podcasting Talk Thursday, lots of Vision Pro and spatial computing chat. What we talk about next is up to you. If you're already a Patreon supporter, the chats are open now on the Patreon mobile app. And if you're not, but think you want to be, here's me to tell you more. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.